Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Quips with Steven Seagal. This time, Steven Seagal is... exit wounds?
Our guys inside said it took about 50 kilos of heroin.
Someone's having a party tonight.
In the city's most corrupt precinct,
You used to work for internal affairs. How'd you know who you could trust?
two honest men are about to bring justice to the law.
I want to catch all these guys at once. Stick it to them.
Exit wounds.
It's like, see, doesn't, it's an exit wounds. And the one unfortunate thing is you can't do what Steven Seagal is with this because it doesn't make much sense. But this movie, this movie stars DMX and Anthony Anderson, which they're two pretty prominent characters in the movie, and this film was also released in 2001. Obviously, being a Steven Seagal film, it's an action. It's an action, cop. It's like a cop. It's like an action cop movie. It's like a cop action movie. Is how I can. I don't really. Yeah, cop movie's good, but yeah. And actually, to my surprise, I didn't expect much out of this film, but it's the best Steven Seagal film I've seen in a while. Okay, it was actually enjoyable and a decent movie. It felt like the golden era back in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like. And I'm relieved that out of all the garbage that we've been watching recently, that I got to take a break and watch an actually enjoyable, fun movie. I just enjoyed myself all the way through. I was just, smiling the whole way through. And yeah, there were some jokes that didn't land. There were some awkward lines and some awkward transitions. But, I can't complain because I at least liked this movie. And it wasn't insufferable and boring and so bad. And the reason this movie wasn't bad and it didn't have awful writing, and Steven Seagal only wore a leather jacket twice in the movie, which was the biggest twist in the entire film. I know Steven Seagal did not write this film. And you can tell, as soon as I saw Steven Seagal not wearing a leather jacket in every scene, and he was still pretty invincible. He was fucking Neo from The Matrix in most scenes, but he actually got hit in this movie. He got kicked in the face, in one fight scene. And it's it blows your mind because he never gets hit in any of his movies. He's the ultimate fighter, doing this. He goes, he does all that, and the guys just flop over and they die because he uses Aikido bullshit. But I don't know. It just felt like this movie felt more like a real action movie. And it was action-packed. And the action wasn't miserable. And it wasn't just Steven Seagal being as stiff as a cactus. You know what I mean? That's not a phrase, but I'll make it one. I don't know. I just feel like I'm so awestruck. I'm so surprised that I've watched a decent Steven Seagal film. I mean, granted, it's not his best film. I mean, it's probably up there in my opinion. Of his modern ones, it probably is. Because, I don't know. It made me happy. This makes me happy. But anyway, I should probably explain the plot of this film. So, Steven Seagal is this big time cop, and he keeps fucking up, and he gets demoted, and he eventually gets demoted to a traffic cop. But then he stumbles his way into a case, and he helps with that, and then they promote him back to a cop, and then he gets a new partner, and they start trying to bust a drug ring, which DMX is involved in. And then after a lot of twists and turns, a lot of the cops at the station that he's stationed at are corrupt, and they're crooked cops. And it then turns out that DMX is actually running another operation. He's actually pretending to be a drug dealer so that he can bust crooked cops. And that's his whole operation. And then him and Steven Seagal team up at the end of the movie to stop the crooked cops. And there's like some betrayals involved in there. One of the cops betrays Steven because he was the leader of the operation, and it ends in a big gunfight, and the two villains actually die spectacularly. Like, he climbs up a ladder and he goes on the helicopter. He's like trying to get away via a helicopter. He's got like a money, and then Steven Seagal does like a Neo from the Matrix, and he grabs onto the helicopter and he climbs and he ties it to like a pipe, and the guy's like, hold on. He's like, no. He's like trying to climb up, and it falls off, and he gets impaled by like a pipe on the roof. And I thought he was just gonna fall off and like die and fall out of the ladder off the building, but no, he got impaled by a fucking pipe, and it was good. Like, it was actually pretty good. And then the other villain guy, who was like more of a, actually the villain who got impaled by the pipe, he wasn't really there that much. The other one that got killed by DMX was really more prominent villain. But, like, he was fighting DMX, and it looked like he was going to win. He was going to kill DMX with, like, a spike on the wall. And then he turns on the sprinklers by bumping his head there. And DMX, he's about to impale him on the spike. And then he reverses him. And then he, like, stabs him through the pike. And you see it, like, go through his neck. And it actually looks pretty good. It doesn't look half bad. The effects in this movie weren't that bad. I just feel like... Also, I think the thing about this was Steven was not the best shot in this movie. He wasn't, like, Deadshot or, like, the ultimate marksman. Like, he had normal aim. He wasn't perfect. So I think the reason I just like this movie so much is that he didn't have much input. You know? Like, he didn't have much control over it. I mean, yeah, most of the bad movies that he's in, or the terrible ones, are the ones that... like, he has most input in, and it's, like, all about him. You know, he's, like, the only actor in the fucking movie that's recognizable. So they all focus on him, and all the side characters are just basically NPCs in his story. You know, they don't matter, they don't say anything, they don't do anything, they're shitty acting, and the movie doesn't give a fuck about them, right? But this movie feels like just a movie that he's in, because you have other actors that you can lean on. The thing that I love about the old Steven Seagal movies is that, like, you can lean on a better actor, and they can really, like, do the acting while Steven does, like, all the fighting and the nonsense. But, yeah, I just think that this movie I haven't had this much fun with a Steven Seagal movie, like, genuinely had this much fun in a long time. And I'm just, if you can't tell, I'm very happy. And I don't know if this joy is gonna last, though. I feel like we're getting into the really bad ones. So, I mean, you can look forward to that, I guess. But, yeah. I don't know. And honestly, I would recommend this film to, like, action movie fans or Steven Seagal fans, because this movie, I just feel like, is a genuinely enjoyable action movie. And if you're just trying to have a good time, I would also recommend it. I mean, there are some ridiculous moments here and there, like in every Steven Seagal movie. But they're evenly spread out. You know, it's not like... I mean, the movie is pretty ridiculous, and it's obviously not a perfect movie. And it's not, like, the greatest action movie or... amazing, but I think if you just want to have a good time, you know, you want to sit down and just watch a dumb, fun action movie, I mean, I feel like, in my opinion, most action movies like this, that's what they're for, you know, just sit down and have fun. I would highly recommend it if you're looking for that experience. Like, if you can, like, tolerate Steven Seagal, because, again, he does the same acting he does in every movie, and he plays the same character, and actually, honestly, he's not as much as an asshole in these movies as he is in, like, his more recent ones. Like, honestly, the thing about Steven is that I can't remember a single line of dialogue that he said in this movie. Like, honestly, his character was, like, the most forgettable part of the movie. I feel like I remember DMX more than I remembered Steven in this movie, which says a lot about why this movie's good. It's because he's in it, but as I said, it doesn't just focus on him, which I like. But yeah, I think I should get to the rating. So, normal movie rating. I think I'd rate this like a 6.5. I think this is a decent I think it's a decent film, and I would Recommend it for films of action, looking for fun. Steven Seagal rating, an 8. An 8 for Steven Seagal. This is excellent for a Steven Seagal movie, and if you're a Steven Seagal fan, recommend it highly. And ironic enjoyment. To be honest, there's only a little bit of ironic enjoyment here and there. So probably like also a 6. So let me do that recap real quick. Real movie rating 6.5, Steven Seagal rating 8, and ironic enjoyment 6. So yeah, guys, I think I've said what I need to say. I think I've said my piece. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you liked it. Subscribe, turn notifications on, tell your friends, and comment down below how much you liked it. And I'm Ryan Tim HD, and this has been Quick Quips with Steven Seagal. Signing out.
Did you say signing out?
Signing off. Shit.